Hello, everybody. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Georgiana.
And this is Wholehearted Loving, where we teach you simple tools for self-love and compassion to grow the muscles you need to be with big feelings, triggers, and overwhelming sensations in your body.
Whether you have active challenges in your life or relationships, or whether you're just here to learn to be kinder to yourself, we pull out all the little things that make life feel better, the things that give you a sense of hope and direction.
So if you're too hard on yourself or on others,
if you want to feel real, deep connection in your life and relationships,
even if you want to reprogram your inner critic while you're sleeping,
this is a great place to be.
So welcome, and we hope this episode brings you just the tidbit you needed today.
Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about how to figure out what you like. You can find self-reflection prompts for this episode on our Instagram at Wholehearted Loving. And you can learn more about how to practice with us live on our website at wholeheartedloving.com. Before we get started, we'll do a body-based self-connection practice to connect with ourselves before we connect with each other and this podcast.
So there's a little story to this body connection practice. How did it start? I don't know, like those scalp massagers. Do you see them all over your reels? Saw them all over my reels for a while, right? I think women of our age are getting targeted.
Those metal spidery looking things?
Like all different types of things you can use to massage your scalp, and it's supposed to make your hair grow and like whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder about that. And I was like, should I? Do I want to buy a plastic something that I rub on my head? And then I was like, I have a gua sha stone, right? I don't know, like, those stones that you use on your body, your face. And then for some reason, my mind I'm like, I wonder if you could like gua sha your head. Like, is that a thing? So I YouTubed it. It's a thing. So I tried it on my head and I'm like, this feels nice. And even my Chinese medicine doctor, I think I talked to her about, she's like, yeah, you're right. And she had one there and she did some on my head. She's like, it doesn't really matter. Like, you don't have to get all worked up in which direction you're doing it. Just move things around, like create some sensation there. And then I thought, what about our hands? Like, I'm really big on like body connection. So here's the way to play if you want to play in today's game show. Just giving yourself some, like, I like feeling my fingernails. Like, I've done like massage on the head with the pads of my fingers, but like this for me is different. And you can do that if that feels better. But I've just been really enjoying taking my nails and just running them along my scalp. And it makes an interesting sound. And it creates energy and sensation. It's like you're scratching. For me, it's a scratching. So if you don't want to scratch, you don't have to. But I've just been experimenting with this lately. Oh, I had the image of I'm in a salon and somebody's washing my hair.
Oh, love it.
Look at my hair now. Nice volume booster.
Oh, yeah. That's very nice.
Yeah.
This reminds me, the first time I ever went, like I'd been to salons to get my hair cut, but I'd never been to be pampered. And I think I thought that was stupid and gross. And why did I go? I must have been curious at some point. I went with a friend for whom this was a regular occurrence. And I cried. I was like, oh, this feels so nice. And these are people, like I think I projected my lack of desire to touch strangers onto these people who were just there. Like, obviously they've chosen this. They're choosing to be there every day. I think they were older Eastern European ladies. And it was just like being imbued with grandmotherly love and motherly love and like sister love all at the same time. They're like, oh, we just want to make your hair feel nice and rub your face and put nice lotions. You just feel nice. And I was like, wow, yes, I do. Unexpectedly do.
Yeah, unexpected pleasure and delight.
Yeah.
Right?
And like deep. It wasn't just this superficial, oh, this feels nice. It was like the love of the whole matrilineal lineage of Earth, you know?
So very neat, because this ties completely to our topic theme for today. And so I'm curious if you want to go back to imagining what that was like, or what you envision that to be like again, to really be imbued with love in that way by people, right? Does it make any part of you want to experience that again? Like, not that you like, oh, I want to do this every week, but, or are you like, maybe it's that I don't necessarily want to do this right now, but like, if I wanted that feeling again, I know what I could do to get more of that feeling. It's a possibility for me. The door to that pathway is more open than it was in the past, because I thought it was dumb and stupid before.
Yes. And I can use it as an add-on for situations that I'd rather not have. Like I just don't want to bother going to get my haircut. It's annoying. But like, oh, I will have the lovely scalp massage portion. It will feel so nice to have this part and that part. And suddenly it's like, okay, I'd like to go do that.
Yeah. Neat. Okay. So I wanted to talk about this because we just recorded an episode about things that we underestimated how good they would feel, or how much we would value them. And I was thinking about like more concrete examples of my life, and like how I actually discovered that I liked certain things that I had always deemed as stupid and dumb and a waste of time. Like, so it's nice to like track that there's some things we deemed that way at one point in time, and now we've changed our minds. But like, how does that process happen? So I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience with how that's happened for me.
Yeah, and if you haven't yet listened to last week's episode, we were talking about noticing and appreciating things that are feeling good in our life. So I want to speak momentarily to the people for whom things are just sort of fine and whatever. We're talking about being able to bring good feelings into our lives that we wouldn't otherwise know were possible, right? So don't think for one moment that you're at the end of having discovered all the things that feel good to you, and that you don't need new or additional things because everything is sort of fine or good enough, or you're content or whatever. Let yourself be open to the idea that there's new and more and better feelings, because that's fun and feels nice.
Yeah. So let me share a few things that I deemed as dumb and a waste of time. Walking. Because I thought, well, if you're going to be outside, you're going to be physical, you might as well hike. And like, that's so much more productive and pretty. So why would you walk? Yeah. And obviously going to burn way more calories. So why waste your time walking? Right. Cleaning, tidying. Oh, I have no time for that anyways. Why bother? Or like, I can work around this and like, it's fine. What else was there? Lifting weights. I've always loved lifting weights, but I did not see the value of lifting weights for 20 minutes, of working out for 20 minutes. I thought that was dumb and a waste of time. If you're not going to work out hardcore for an hour and a half, what's the point? Right? So there are a lot of times where I didn't work out because I'm like, well, I don't have an hour and a half, or I don't have the energy to work out at that intensity for an hour and a half. So I'll do nothing and just sit and veg instead, and then feel guilty about not doing the thing. Another thing is, gosh, my old patterns with this are just too funny. If it takes less than 2 minutes to do, just do it right away. Like, I think becoming a perfectionist, like just in a home that valued that and encouraged that, I incorrectly deemed everything to have to take forever to do. Because if you're going to do it perfectly, it's going to take a lot of time and effort. So I grew this habit of, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. Right. And then later would not happen and all these things would pile up. And related to that is, if it has a home, it has a place, take it there right away instead of walking by it again, or like leaving the room and knowing that that needs to be brought somewhere and like being like, oh, I'll do that later. Like, I had such a history of that. Like later. And what these things all have in common is there have been plenty of people who are strangers to me, people who I know, who have all said, these things are great things to do. They're so fabulous. They're going to make your life feel way better. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing them. I think they're a waste of time. And one of the things that I guess I have decided to do, I've become good at, is just trying. Just trying to do the thing that I thought was dumb at some point and seeing. And so I remember I was like, you know what? Let's just walk. Let's just walk for 5 minutes, or let's just walk around the block, because that was the only amount of time I felt I wanted to give to it, or I felt I had. And what I decided to do while I went for this walk, and like, I didn't go thinking, oh, I'm going to feel so great. Everybody says it's so good and it's so good for you and it balances out your hormones and this and that. I wasn't in that. I was just like, I am purely here to experiment, doing something that so many people claim to be good, when I'm like, I don't see the value of it in my life. I don't really see how I would add this into my life. But here I am. I'm just experimenting. And I added to that experimentation, along with just go out and do it, with, can I pay attention? Can I orient to what parts of this are good, feel nice, are pleasant? And then another layer to that is, when I notice something that's pleasant, can I feel it in my body, track it, and linger in it for a moment, whether it's a breath or 3 longer, so not long. And what I noticed over time is, I'm like, oh, I see so many pretty things when I'm outside. Or I really like the smell of the fresh air. Or I didn't know it feels so nice to feel that fresh air on my face, like that sensation. Or like, I started doing like my old lady qigong. I call it old lady qigong because like that's, as a child, I just saw old Asian ladies doing qigong on the street. So I'm like, well, if I'm walking, let's try out doing some old lady qigong, see how that feels. I'm like, oh, that feels so nice. And so I started orienting to and feeling the goodness of those tiny things in my body. And what I noticed, oh my goodness, is over time, I'd sit in my house and be like, I want that feeling. I craved that feeling, right? Like I would do it. It wasn't just from one time. I did a few more times here and there. It wasn't anything consistent. But what I was consistent is while I'm just trying the thing, let me pay attention to what's pleasant about this and how it feels in my body, and can I enjoy it for a moment longer? And what I created within myself is a new pathway, like a craving for, I desire that feeling. I desire that smell. Like I can feel it in my body, like how nice it would feel to like feel that fresh air on my face right now, that I can also contrast to, if I stay sitting inside, I'm not going to feel that thing. And which one would I like to feel more?
Yes.
Right. And what happened was I found myself wanting to walk more, actually making time for it more. It started becoming more of a habit. This thing that I once thought was dumb, habits that I've like traditionally felt just really, how would I say that? Really unskilled in creating new supportive habits in my life. Like it takes me a lot of work when I'm just trying to power through and like do it as a task and do it because people say it's a good thing to do. Like I never gain traction with good habits doing it that way. And I was so surprised. I'm like, how did this magically become a habit that I walk every morning? That even if I have 10 minutes between clients, I'm like, oh, like that gives me enough time just to go downstairs and around the block and come back up. What? Like, who did I become? And it was because I was willing to just try it anyways and discover and pay attention to what might feel good and then linger in it. And then slowly I'm like, I want that feeling.
Noticing
and so,
yeah.
What's that? Noticing
the good feelings as opposed to doing the thing because you should and just waiting for it to be over.
Right. And, or like, oh, I did it. Great. I get a star, I get a check, whatever, but feeling nothing really about
Didn't even notice.
Yeah. And what I noticed was, so in some cases, it started to become a habit. And then another thing that I noticed in my life is I haven't always been successful at like keeping habits going. Like I'll get interested in something else. I'll forget. My life changes a little bit. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I walked in the morning. But what I noticed is in that act of just trying it anyways, in that act of looking and feeling for what's good, I create a new pathway that now if I haven't walked in a few days, I can be like, oh, that feels so good to walk. Maybe I'll start it up again today. Or maybe I'm not starting anything up again today. Maybe I'm just going for a walk today. I might not do it tomorrow, but like I know now what that feels like and I want that feeling.
Yeah, you pursue it. Yeah. So connecting with good feelings in our bodies causes us to seek out more good feelings for our bodies. Mm-hmm. This is very important.
Mm-hmm. And the same thing with tidying and cleaning the house. Like I have very little time in my life, right? That hasn't been one of my highest priorities. But when I notice that I'm like, let's just try it. Let's just do it. And then I look around the room and I'm like, oh, things are where they're supposed to be. Like, oh, that feels so nice. My head is at peace. My body is at peace. Like I feel proud of myself. Like I can just relax more here. And then it makes me want to do it more. Mm-hmm. And it makes it easier to do. And it makes me, because you'll hear this lots, when people use time as an excuse, I'll use time as an excuse. When we say we don't have time, really, it just means I'm choosing not to give that time and energy. Well, what I notice is when I'm connected to how something feels good and how it feels in my body, that good feeling, I am more likely to make time, to prioritize time now to do this thing that I once thought was dumb or a waste of time, because it creates more good feeling for me. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's been just really neat for me to play with. I still have moments, and I love it actually when this happens. It happens a lot with the toilet paper rolls. So I have this general habit, like, of I want to have 2 toilet paper rolls in my bathroom, like one on the roll holder thingy and one in the cabinet. And like the storage, like in my bathroom, I'm storing other things in the cabinets, and like the main storage for toilet paper is in the guest bathroom. And so there'll be times toilet paper is used up. I put it on the counter, and then I feel myself looking at it, walking out of the bathroom. And I notice the mind that says, oh, another time, next time, we're going to do this now. And I'm like, no, like it'll feel so much better to have that away and gone already. Right?
I have to introduce something here because there's something I've discovered for myself recently that was a pleasant surprise. Mm-hmm. And a toilet roll is one of them. I dislike vacuuming.
Me too.
Odds are good if I dislike something, I'm not really going to do it. So what I discovered was I got this giant entry mat. So when you enter my house, it's just a festival of pine needles all the time and like muddy cat prints on hardwood floor. There was no mat there for many moons. And it was just like, oh, I guess I have to sweep this like every 10 minutes or just let it build up because who cares anyway, because it needs to be done every 10 minutes. I guess this is my entryway. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to trap this at least in the entryway. I don't need it tracked across the whole house. So I'm going to get this giant rug. And something about the giant rug, it's just one of those like blackish, grayish, industrial kind of doormats, like nondescript thing. Seeing a pine needle on it is disturbing to me in a way that causes me to vacuum, that causes me to have set up my vacuum in such a way. So I hate vacuuming so much that even having to unwind the cord is enough of a barrier. So I'm like, okay, if that's a barrier, we're just not winding the cord. We're just throwing it in the closet with the vacuum because I desire magically to vacuum this mat.
Yeah.
Right? Magically.
Yeah.
And the toilet rolls used to build up as well. Except now I use them for kindling for my fire. So a toilet roll no longer lingers in the bathroom. It goes right to the fireplace kindling area. Like there's ways to set things up to create ease and desire is my point. Yeah.
I definitely set things up and like set things up to create ease in ways that like maybe they're non-traditional, but like it's about, this is a deeper element. I like myself enough to want to add more ease into my life, right? I want to be my own best friend enough to make things so it's easier for me. I now have always an extra set of gym clothes in my trunk, always, like a full set. So it means at any point in time, because also it's paired with, now I see it's worthy to do 20 minutes of exercise. That I know I have a little gap. I already have all my stuff there.
Great.
Right?
So you probably end up doing more exercise now.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Way more than when I was of the belief that it's dumb to do anything that's not an hour and a half. I also, you might notice a theme at the end. You're going to be like, oh, I think she lives out of her car. But I do a lot in my car, and I realize when I put things there, right? Like life is better. Like recently, and I'm in like, obviously, like maybe not everyone finds themselves in this position, but I drive my kids so much to all different sports events and then have to sit there for an hour while they warm up before the thing actually even happens. And like I started using that for walks because I'm like, oh, I could walk for a bit. I like walking now. I don't think it's a dumb waste of time. And I walk instead of scrolling my phone. So that's nice. But sometimes like I don't feel like walking, or I actually have stuff to do, whatever. I'm like, what would it be like to just get this cheapo tablet that has a little keyboard where I could just catch up on some side things that are sort of mindless but need to be taken care of. And I had no idea whether it was going to be helpful. But I thought there's so much of that kind of time in my life. Like I want to see how I can use it so it sets myself up for more ease in my life. And like I've been using it, not every time, but I like that it's there ready to go. If I'm like, oh, tonight it's a driving night, just bring the thing. And it has made a lot of other things less stressful because I get to take care of some stuff. I don't like to do things on my phone a lot. And some things are just easy to do on a bigger screen. I'm like, oh, that was a really nice thing to do for yourself. You probably could have wasted that on, Starbucks or treats here and there. Like, just collect all those little things. Not that there's anything wrong with Starbucks and treats, but I'm like, oh, like that's actually something, an investment that like pays off for me and makes my life easier. So there's that. I finally I cannot stand having dry hands. And so now my car has lotion and also my purse has lotion because like either one, like I'm in one or the other. It has lotion. I started doing this thing. Sometimes I'm unexpectedly sleeping somewhere that's not home, or I'm flying so often, like going away, not at home. And like, this sounds really simple and like, I don't know if I want to say stupid, but like, it seems so simple that part of me is like, well, why didn't we think of this earlier? Or like, maybe people do this. I don't know. Never crossed my mind. I just have my toiletries bag already packed.
Yeah.
So I don't have to go into the bin that has the travel size this and the travel size that. Like, I have a gazillion toothbrushes. This is another thing. There's a toothbrush in my shower. I like to brush my teeth in the shower. There's a toothbrush by the sink because at night I like to brush it at the sink, right? There's a toothbrush already in the toiletries bag.
Yes. This is a huge one. I did this also. I got a huge toiletries bag, and I realized every time I go anywhere and come back, I'm like, oh, I notice I don't unpack my suitcase for like one entire month after I go away for 3 days. Right? And toiletries bag is part of the culprit. I'm like, the damn thing's still in my suitcase. I'm like, I gotta go in there to get my whatever I need. And then I realized I could just have this packed all the time and just grab it. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, what? Yes. And I know some of you listening are going to be like, yeah.
Yeah, of course. But there's so many things like this in our life all the time that we've, for some reason, been blocked to. And once you find it, which means you might have to go looking for it. Sometimes it'll just come out of nowhere, but there is great benefit to going looking for these things in your life where you could add so much ease and a nicer time.
And like when you add ease, like when I can just grab the toiletries bag and it's done, like, am I willing to notice how good that feels?
Yeah.
Right? That I'm not rummaging around looking for it, cursing myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is such a great thing.
The in the body feeling, like when we started this episode and when you introduced the idea to me, I thought you were meaning more of like how to figure out what sorts of things you might like in life and then how to transfer that information into your body, which we're also still kind of talking about. But you're also describing how to bring nice feelings and easeful feelings to the tasks that we're having to do every day, how to make those easier or how to introduce pleasant feelings to things like walking and cleaning.
Yeah, I think it just morphed into that. Like, I think it is a discovery. Like, my aversion to doing some of these things, I knew it was there. I wasn't trying these new things out to like them. I wasn't trying them out because someone said I should do them, right? I was like trying them out because I'm curious. What am I going to notice from this? And it did help me discover which things feel really good that I had no idea about, because I, for a long time, was stuck with the belief that I think that's dumb and that's a waste of time.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So our self blocks. So one of the tools you're describing for being able to figure out some ideas that you might not be aware of, the unknown unknowns, is to source what other people have told you you should or could do over the course of your lifetime. Right. That's fun. Let's try that on. You could make lists. So I like the idea of making lists of things that, for example, some obvious ones, things you've always wanted to do. That's great. And that might be something so big that you can't conceive of it. So what's one doable thing moving towards that might not get you there, but that's a step, lists of things that you couldn't possibly ever do. That's a good source, or things that only other people can do. And then what is one thing you could try on? You could go to the self-help section in the library and just open a book and point at random and try whatever the word is that's there. Hopefully it's a word that makes sense to try. What other ways can we discover the unknown unknowns?
Well, like, I might have spoken about this before. I think one of my strengths has been a willingness to try and just see. And so, like you said, it could be anything. Just try doing a thing you wouldn't normally do and pay attention. And you're going to get
come up with the things.
So I come up with them in wild ways. So sometimes I notice who I'm jealous of and who I can't stand.
Perfect.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what do they do? Let me try that or some version of that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be even like, or it's like, so this is linked to two things. Sometimes it's like, oh, that person asks a gazillion questions in the group. Well, I'm pissed and annoyed at them because I never ask. I'm like holding on to my question, waiting for the perfect time, and the perfect time passes. I didn't ask my question. Then I feel like an idiot, whatever, right? Judge myself for it. I'm like, okay, next time, just going to ask a question. Like I remember specifically in conscious relationship training, like the internal body feel of like wanting to ask something, like the natural life force energy of wanting to ask. And then the old conditioning of like, no, you're going to sound dumb. Like, no, just go ask on the break on the side. Right. And then so I did, like that was already big, right? To like not discount the question altogether, but like just to do something different was ask during a break. And then I think the next time I gave myself the task to try, just ask while we're still doing the thing. And like, it's scary. Like I'm nervous. It's like all conditioned in me. Don't say anything. Right. So like, I really like just finding small ways of doing these things. I remember, like, for example, in elementary school, I really wanted to play volleyball. But I realized that at that time already in grade 5, 6, and 7, like, kids already knew how to play. And I had no clue how to play. And my fear of looking dumb was so big that I was like, well, I'll just say I don't like volleyball. Right. And so there was a time much later in my life, this must have been like 8 or 9 years ago, that I'm like, I have some free time now, right? I don't have my kids every single day. They're a little bit older. Let me go register for adult beginners volleyball. And it was intentional. It wasn't let me go register because I think it would be fun. It's let me go register because it's symbolic of something so much bigger. I never let myself say I wanted to play. I never let myself play. I never let myself make mistakes and learn and look stupid while learning. Right? Yeah. So let me go try that.
Try it.
And it turns out like it never became a thing of now I play volleyball all the time, or it never became a thing where I got so like skilled at volleyball that I feel way more competent now. But like it was symbolic of like just do the things you never gave yourself permission to do and see what happens.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
This is reminding me. Do you know the author David Sedaris? Very funny author.
No, I don't think so.
Bring you one of his books to Yellow Point next time. He has to have things to write about all the time. So when he sees a wall of pamphlets, he sees it as an opportunity. He looks through the pamphlets, and whenever he feels like a cringy, like, I really don't want to do this activity, he's like, I guess I'm signing up for this activity, because he wants something to write about. So he like went and lived at like a nudist retreat or something for a while because he knew it would be good to write about. It's also good to self-discover. Maybe he would have found out that he just loved nudity and found a whole new community unexpectedly from a pamphlet wall.
I love that. Because what that shows us is you can get inspiration from anywhere. Right? Because you will viscerally, if you're paying attention, you'll have a mind or body reaction to everything. Right? And that will give good indication. Right? For most of the things that we have a no reaction to in the body and the mind that are not actually safe or emotionally dangerous for us, like, you know, they're not going to harm you. There's just some old story there about what's possible for you and what's not. So you could see like, hey, does this point me in the direction of something that could open up for me if I tried that out? For some reason, when you said a wall of pamphlets, I got the image of being on BC ferries and, you know, like all those pamphlets.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to try that next time. But yeah, like there's so many different things. And when he said nudist, whatever you said, I was like, did you know I Googled all that and considered it? There's a nudist something club in North Vancouver. And it was a time when I was like, oh, I'd like to feel more comfortable in my body. There's so much body shaming growing up. I'm like, I wonder if I should join that. And like, that would be a way. And like
You
that
don't like
didn't
wearing
end up.
socks.
I hate wearing socks.
Maybe you hate the whole kit. You just don't know it yet.
But actually, okay, I correct myself. I believed for a very long time that I hated wearing socks. And this is actually quite funny. Recently, I decided to try it. And I would take pictures of socks on my feet and send them to Shay because we laugh about this. Like in Chinese medicine, like you don't want to have bare feet. And we always joke that she's actually the old Chinese lady and I'm the white lady, because she embraces so much of these wisdom teachings. And so I like sent her a picture of my feet with socks on and we had a good laugh about it. I'm like, look, I'm wearing socks. My mom would be so proud. And then I realized, oh, my feet feel good in some socks. Sometimes. It's not that I hate them all of the time. And now I have more body awareness to notice when would it feel good to have socks on and when would it not. I know this sounds ridiculous and totally not useful in life, but it's huge.
It's so huge. I went through, at some point last year, I was like, oh, I don't love this pair of underpants that I'm pulling out of my underpants drawer. I'm like, why should that be the case? Why should I not love every pair of underpants in this drawer? So I went through them and got rid of most of my underpants, and now only perfect
the good
underpants
ones
will grace my tushy. Yeah. You know?
That's symbolic of so much more, I think.
Yeah.
Don't you
Yeah.
think? Yeah.
For sure.
Good socks and good underwear only.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, there's a million people walking around right now in uncomfortable socks just because they haven't stopped to pause and notice and go, oh, my feet could be 1, 10, 20, 25% more comfortable right now. 50% more comfortable. Tight bands around our ankles. Why?
Oh, this was another thing. Tight pants. No more tight pants ever. I'm like, oh, one day I'll fit into those pants again. Or like, I'll just fit into them anyways and be uncomfortable all day. And I was like, oh, what might it be like just to buy a bigger pair of pants?
Hey.
Wow, they feel so much better. You mean I can feel like this all day long? Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
And the wild thing is, that shifted a lot for me. I think I would like to do some body episodes at some point, but like when I let it be okay that my old pants don't fit and it's okay to buy bigger pants, and then I just live life and do the thing and pay attention to what feels good. Like my old pants actually fit now because I'm more oriented to doing the things that actually feel good for my body. And my old pants fit because I've been doing what feels good for my body instead of me saying, I really shouldn't eat anymore. I really shouldn't have that. I really ate that already. So I definitely shouldn't go out for dinner tonight. And like all this shouldn't. I really should work out because I ate this today. Like that didn't make me fit into my pants or feel good in my pants. Like fitting into my pants now feels really nice, but like the process of it has felt very enjoyable and very much self-honoring and self-accepting, which I never thought could be the case. I thought if I'm ever going to fit in my old pants, it's going to be because I have been hard on myself and mean and strict and regimented. And that's the only way I'm ever going to fit in my old pants again.
Jesus, when you say that just sounds ridiculous.
But do you
the only way I can win and do good is by having an awful time. Ridiculous.
Well, that is my old life, I feel like.
Totally. No? That's like most of the world. We're all just going around operating like that without just noticing. It's magic.
Yeah. Well, our poor little souls.
Yeah. We're all on our way.
We're all on our way. What time is it? Oh, it's time almost.
It's time. Okay. Anything else you want to say before we do a closing practice?
Maybe, just notice what might be something that you want to try that you have always thought was dumb or useless or a waste of time. Or how could you linger and enjoy a good feeling for a little bit longer?
Mhm. Yeah, taking a moment to appreciate something that you enjoy now and didn't used to enjoy.
Mm-hmm. So as a closing practice, I think that's a great thing to practice. Notice something that is enjoyable right now. Whether it's just you notice it in your mind or you actually see it or you can touch it, right? I'm noticing whatever kind of hoodie you're wearing. I'm like, oh, I just want to touch it. I like that deep red burgundy color, makes me happy. There's some frilly bubbly things happening with the zipper part. I like it.
I'm enjoying, I've got this silk scarf out that is an item that I got from my grandma who died. And it's always just been in its little box. And I've always loved it, but felt burdened by it. Cause I'm like, I'm never going to wear it. This is a silk, like fancy scarf. What are you talking about? It's just going to live in my closet. I'm going to feel like I should and feel all kinds of grandma love feelings and sadness feelings. So great, a scarf. And now I'm like, oh, this suits my hairstyle and I like it and I wear it. Totally different. Yeah.
Totally different. I like that.
Yeah.
I like
nice.
that we both found something like just right here. We didn't have to look hard. We didn't have to go far. And there's something we could orient to that's good feeling.
Yeah.
That normally we'd probably look at many, many times and not register any experience with it. And I always say, what a waste.
Yeah.
What a waste when it's right there in front of you.
It's right there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, Gigi. Thank you guys for being here. As always, please do like, follow, and subscribe. And if anything we've said here today has been helpful for you, please share with somebody that you care about. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.